Welcome to History with Herodotus, where the past comes alive through the power of storytelling and rigorous historical inquiry. Today, we embark on a fascinating journey to the heart of Texas to explore one of the most pivotal events in American history, the Battle of the Alamo. This iconic clash of cultures, ideologies, and armies has become an enduring symbol of courage, sacrifice, and the quest for independence. As we delve into the intricacies of this epic battle, you'll be transported to the dusty plains, adobe walls, and heroic deeds that defined a nation's struggle for self-determination. In the early 19th century, the Mexican province of Tejas, with its sparse population and vast territories, had become a magnet for American settlers seeking new opportunities. These newcomers, largely from the southern United States, brought with them their language, customs, and entrepreneurial spirit, which often put them at odds with the existing Mexican authorities. The Mexican government, having recently gained independence from Spain, was grappling with its own internal struggles, including the centralist policies of General Antonio López de Santa Anna, who sought to consolidate power and impose a more rigid control over the country's diverse regions. As tensions between the American settlers and the Mexican government escalated, a growing sense of discontent and resistance began to simmer in Tejas. The Texans, as they came to be known, felt that their rights and freedoms were being eroded by the increasingly authoritarian regime in Mexico City. In 1835, a group of Texan rebels, led by figures such as Stephen F. Austin and William Barrett Travis, launched a series of protests and skirmishes against Mexican forces, marking the beginning of the Texas Revolution. One of the key flashpoints in this conflict was the small mission in San Antonio de Bexar, known as the Alamo. Originally established by Spanish friars in the 18th century, the Alamo had been converted into a military outpost, its sturdy walls and strategic location making it an attractive prize for both the Texans and the Mexicans. In December 1835, a contingent of Texan volunteers, primarily American settlers, had occupied the Alamo, hoping to prevent Santa Anna's forces from seizing control of the territory. As the winter of 1835-36 wore on, the defenders of the Alamo, numbering around 180 to 205 men, prepared for a potential siege. They were led by a triumvirate of commanders: William Barrett Travis, a young and charismatic lawyer; James Bowie, a legendary figure with a reputation for bravery and cunning; and Davy Crockett, the celebrated frontiersman and former congressman from Tennessee. As the winter of 1835-26 wore on, the defenders of the Alamo, led by Travis, Bowie, and Crockett, braced themselves for the impending siege. On February 23, 1836, a large Mexican army, estimated to be between 100 and 500 to 2,000 soldiers, arrived at the outskirts of San Antonio de Bexar, their presence marked by the sound of drums and the fluttering of flags. The defenders, aware of the overwhelming odds against them, nonetheless stood firm, refusing to surrender or abandon their post. In a letter written on February 25, Travis famously declared, "I shall never surrender or retreat. Victor or victim, I shall remain here," his words echoing the determination and bravery that defined the Alamo's defenders. The Mexican army, led by General Santa Anna, began to encircle the Alamo, cutting off any potential escape routes or supply lines. The defenders, meanwhile, worked tirelessly to fortify their position, repairing walls, constructing barricades, and preparing for the onslaught to come. On February 26, a small group of Texan reinforcements, numbering around 30 men, managed to slip through the Mexican lines and enter the Alamo, bringing with them much-needed supplies and ammunition. This brief respite was short-lived, however, as the Mexicans soon tightened their grip on the fort, subjecting it to a relentless barrage of cannon fire and sniper attacks. As the days passed, the defenders of the Alamo grew increasingly weary, their numbers dwindling due to illness, injury, and the constant strain of battle. On March 1, a group of Mexican soldiers, disguised as civilians, attempted to infiltrate the fort, but were discovered and repelled by the defenders. This incident served only to heighten tensions and underscore the gravity of the situation, as both sides knew that the fate of the Alamo hung precariously in the balance. The defenders, aware that their time was running out, made a final, desperate plea for reinforcements, hoping against hope that someone, somewhere, would hear their cries for help. The night of March 5-6, 1836, would prove to be a fateful one, as the Mexican army launched a series of fierce assaults on the Alamo's walls. The defenders, though vastly outnumbered, fought valiantly, repelling wave after wave of attackers with a combination of cannon fire, musket volleys, and hand-to-hand combat. As the battle raged on, the sounds of gunfire, screams, and clashing steel filled the air, punctuated by the occasional blast of a cannon or the thunder of hooves as Mexican cavalry charged into the fray. It was during this chaotic and bloody melee that some of the Alamo's most famous defenders met their end, including Jim Bowie, who died in his bed, too weak to participate in the battle, but still urging his comrades on with his last breath. As the night of March 5-6, 1836 wore on, the defenders of the Alamo fought valiantly, but their numbers were dwindling rapidly. Despite their bravery, they were vastly outnumbered, and the Mexican army's relentless assaults eventually began to take its toll. By dawn on March 6, the battle was all but over, with nearly all of the Alamo's defenders having fallen, including William Barrett Travis, James Bowie, and Davy Crockett. The loss was staggering, with estimates suggesting that between 82 and 250 Texan rebels had been killed, while the Mexican army suffered significant casualties as well, with reports ranging from 400 to 600 dead or wounded. The aftermath of the battle was marked by a period of intense grief and outrage among the Texans, who were galvanized by the sacrifice of the Alamo's defenders. The famous cry, "Remember the Alamo!" became a rallying cry for the rebellion, as Texans vowed to avenge their fallen comrades and secure independence from Mexico. This sentiment was eloquently expressed by Sam Houston, who would later lead the Texan army to victory at San Jacinto, when he said, "The blood of the Alamo will be remembered and its defenders will be avenged." The Battle of San Jacinto, fought on April 21, 1836, was a decisive victory for the Texans, with Santa Anna himself being taken prisoner, and it marked the effective end of the Texas Revolution. In the years and decades that followed, the Battle of the Alamo became an enduring symbol of bravery, sacrifice, and patriotism, not just in Texas, but across the United States. The Alamo itself was converted into a museum, and it remains one of the most popular tourist attractions in Texas, with millions of visitors each year. The battle has been immortalized in countless books, films, and artworks, including the famous 1955 Disney movie Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, which helped to cement the legend of the Alamo in American popular culture. Today, the Battle of the Alamo is remembered as a pivotal moment in Texas history, one that shaped the course of the state's development and its relationship with the rest of the United States. It is also celebrated as a testament to the power of courage and conviction, as a small group of rebels stood up against overwhelming odds to fight for their freedom and their way of life. The Battle of the Alamo may have been a relatively small skirmish in the grand scheme of history, but its impact has been profound and lasting. It has become an integral part of American folklore, a symbol of the country's values and ideals, and a reminder of the sacrifices that have been made in pursuit of freedom and democracy. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, remember that, to understand the present, we must first understand the past.